Well, there's this article by Chickering and Ganson that came out several decades ago around 7 effective practices of undergraduate teaching, and then there was a follow-up article in the 2000s called "Technology as a Lever," right? How technology can help meet those 7 effective practices for teaching. And I always like that idea that technology is a lever of opening the door to faculty conversations that you otherwise might not have. Faculty feel really comfortable teaching in the residential analog environment. Even though they may benefit from a consultation with an instructional designer, they may not seek it out. But in the online space, they feel less comfortable, and they feel more comfortable with their with feeling that this is not their space, because they understand that they're not technology experts. Let me talk to a technology expert. And of course, then you turn the conversation to pedagogy, even if it starts out from a tool conversation. All that to say, I think we're at another pivot point here. With this rapid shift to online by institutions that in previous years would have looked down upon online learning as being second tier or not as high quality. And if faculty start to see that what we can do in the online space is, as we all know, is at least as effective as what can happen in the residential space, it may be more effective. I think that this is in many periods of crisis, there is opportunity. I think there's great opportunity right now to help faculty see not just the value of online, but to help improve their teaching just broadly, right? Opening their eyes to new pedagogies, new tools, new approaches. I think it's just going to have payoff down the road. And then from the career perspective, obviously, this is only going to increase the need for learning designers, learning technologists, instructional coaches. It's a very sharp, I don't know to call it, increase in the positions of learning design and learning technologists in higher ed. This is only going to increase that. One thing I think we're going to see, and I don't think this is necessarily a negative thing, is the increase in organizations that are on the periphery of higher education. So some schools, like where I work, have the resources to increase staff internally, and I think there's a lot of payoff to that. Other schools don't have those resources, are going to look to partnerships, and whether that leads to partnerships with the large, previously dominant organizations like 2U or Pearson, or if it's going to lead to smaller shops that really can have the goals and interests of the individual institutions in mind. I think that's a trend that I'm keeping an eye on, but again, more opportunity for people who are interested in this field.
I have seen industry study after industry study that's talking about like 25% growth in the education market year over year for the next 5 years, which is really incredible. And we've already been going through an acceleration of need. So this is kind of on top of what was already happening.
One of the things that we do in our field, because we're not fully grounded in a common body of knowledge, is we tend to move in a bunch of different directions. Some of those directions are helpful, some are not helpful. Some of the unhelpful directions are we glom on to shiny objects. So right now, everything's about neuroscience. So people are saying, oh, you hear vendors say, oh, we have neuroscience this, neuroscience that. This is the latest evidence on neuroscience, how to design learning. Well, the truth is that neuroscience is not really ready to teach us anything about your learning yet. But the shiny objects, beautiful pictures of brains and imaging, we glom onto that. So there's some shiny objects like that. Other ones are like artificial intelligence, big data, these things that seem, really good, like VR. Now there's benefits to these. There's going to be more and more benefits in the future, but are we there yet? Not so sure. The trend that I'm really hopeful about, and I see happening, is that more and more people are debunking learning myths. So no longer do we believe in learning styles. For your students now, if they were in school 10 years ago, they would definitely have been taught about learning styles. 5 years ago, probably definitely. Some of them may even be taught about learning styles now, encouraged to use them. I feel so sorry for you, because learning styles are very clearly Not recommended. Don't design your learning based on people's learning styles. That's been proven over and over not to be an effective means. Instead of doing that, use focus on things that really do matter. Things like context alignment, retrieval practice, spacing, good feedback mechanisms, attention gaining things, worked examples. There's a whole bunch of things we know we can do that we know that work. Don't fritz around with the learning styles notions. It's really good. More and more people are debunking. More and more people are skeptical about what they're hearing. That's a really good thing. And more people are using science of learning. There's a bunch of people like myself who are doing the research translations that are out there. That's a really good trend. I see that more and more coming to the fore. And those are good signs. I also think we are in an age of innovation. Partly this is that technology is beginning to allow us to think beyond what we used to do, like asynchronous online learning, perhaps combined with synchronous live sessions, can be really powerful when we're figuring out how to do that. Also, there's some innovative learning technologies that come along. Now, some of those can be, you got to be careful. Some of them can be, can send us off in the wrong direction, but I think there's opportunities there. So I'm hopeful on that score as well.